Well, we're here today to announce a particular piece of news as well. Some groundbreaking news. Is it Brian or Sid? Which one do you want to talk about what you guys
Sid,
have accomplished?
Sid, please, you are the inventor of the technology here.
Yeah, so
Sure.
Sid, tell us.
So every time a new model comes out, they benchmark on this leaderboard, which is called SweBench Verified. And the leaderboard itself was built by OpenAI. It is a subset of SweBench. It contains 500 problems that were vetted by the researchers at OpenAI, and they confirm that these are solvable problems and these are worth testing models on. And it's been ubiquitous. So every time a new one comes out, you always see results. The current top of the leaderboard on the SweBench website as of filming is 75.2%. So we hired a bunch of extremely talented interns. So Dave, going back to Jack, if we could hire him today, we would. That's how good some of these interns are. And every single intern who worked for us, they were amazing. We really credit this to their effort and to Neeraj, who led the, efforts on our end. But we ran Blitzy on SweBench. And as it turns out, these are 12 repositories, but they have 500 branches. And that equates to 400 million lines of code if you ingest them on Blitzy, right? We've ingested anywhere from 1 to 2 billion lines of code overall on Blitzy, depending on how you count it, because you count updates and the whole raw thing as well. So it's 2 billion lines of code if you count all of the updates, right, including SweBench. So we ingested all of that. We ran Blitzy on solving the problems. And our final result, accounting for everything that we've tested and verified using SBCLI, was 86.8%. That is a significant jump over the current leaderboard on the website. And the last time this was done was when Devin had a 13% jump from 1% to roughly 14 point some percentage. So we've come a really long way with the system. And the primary reason that we were able to achieve this, echoing some of the points that were made earlier, is we're very different from the way existing tools are structured, right? So one thing is you can reproduce these results in production using Blitzy. Right. We've not added any custom scaffolding just for SweBench. We've not tampered with any of the features just to achieve this. We've seen reports from, some of the other labs that claim that even though, for example, let's say a latest frontier model claims 80% on SweBench, if you actually run it and reproduce it, you get 60%. Right. And we wanted to not have that problem. We care deeply about reproducibility and the practical real world applicability, right? Which SweBench Verified has been vetted to be good at. So you can reproduce these results, and it's live as of today.
Amazing. Hey, Alex, help us understand how big and important this particular hallmark is for the company and for the world. Give us some background here.
Sure. Well, first to Brian and Sid, congratulations on your announcement. I think I would expect there's going to be an enormous amount of interest from the community once they hear these results in trying Blitzy and in reproducing those results. So congratulations in advance on the onslaught of interest that I expect you will receive. I think to answer Peter's question, I think software engineering is arguably the first major vertical of human labor that is very high economic value, very high productivity, that is perhaps succumbing to automation. So any sort of step function improvement in software engineering is arguably super transformative to the global economy. And maybe just pivoting on that thought, one of the first things that I was wondering when I heard that you would be announcing these results, and maybe jumping back 8 months, we all remember when DeepSeek, aka Highflyer, launched R1 January of this year, and there was sort of an aha moment all around the world. They didn't just announce a new reasoning model. They announced, and maybe this got a lot less attention, they announced a bunch of new open source libraries at the systems level, like a new file system. So one of the first things that I was wondering when I learned that you'd be making this announcement is the whole world is sitting on this sort of palimpsest of legacy libraries and operating system code, billions and billions of lines of code, Linux, Python, GNU, all of these libraries. Is there something that you and Blitzy and this new remarkable capability that you're announcing can do to speak to what can we do to improve the performance of this entire tech stack that the whole world runs on at this point.
That's a fantastic pointed question. We've been running some of these experiments. We've been taking some of these open source libraries that, for example, was written in MATLAB for one of our customers that they were using, and we converted it to Python. MATLAB was written 20 years ago. It was specific to Windows, and we made it OS agnostic. We've run these POCs all the time, where we go from OS agnostic to OS specific to agnostic, from traditional to modern. But we've also been running other kinds of POCs, where, for example, we picked an NVIDIA repo. We identified an issue that was marked as open, and we just put Blitzy at it, and we created a pull request that solved the issue, right? So if you think about that problem, you can identify bugs, issues, feature requests in any of the modern frameworks and systems. And the system is not limited by how much code, how big the repo is, right? So you can send Blitzy at it. It'll come back with a solution. You don't like it, you can iterate over it. You can create 5 projects, get 5 different pull requests, see how that works, and deploy it all within a matter of days. I think that's a fundamental shift that really is going to change the way people work with open source and also closed source technology.
Amazing. What is the largest repository of code that you've actually tackled?
So we frequently see 20 million lines, but I think the absolute largest we've seen is about 60 million lines that we've onboarded successfully.
That's crazy. And how long, just for comparison, for fun, if you had to guess, how long would it take in terms of human labor hours to do that?
It's insane. It's insane. Brian, I think we frequently scope these, right, as part of the POC process, and I think you could probably speak to that.
So what we do, so there's a question of how long would it take to grok 60 million lines of code, and the reality is it's just too big for a human to understand. So you might pay Accenture $100 million in 3 years, and they might come back with some diagrams over the 60 million lines of code. And
by the way, by the time they
Mm-hmm.
did that, what they came back with would be out of date.
Exactly, which is why you can see that essentially the industry has been stuck. This is why your airlines are always misrouted and they can't get their software updated. Is this kind of fundamental problem? So every time we run Blitzy, we actually estimate for the clients in production, all our enterprise clients, how many hours were automated. And the CIOs love this because it's like the KPI that they go give the board on how many hours they've automated away by their intelligent vendor selection. But grokking is sort of an impossible problem, but the real value is in the code generation, right? Being able to accurately affect and develop code and accelerate that life cycle for the development team on that large underscoring corpus. But importantly, and Alex, I know you want all developers to sort of go away and we're going to live in a society of abundance, but I think it's kind of going to go in the opposite direction where, there's almost an infinite demand for code, right? And for software development. And so Blitzy doesn't do everything. Blitzy does about 80% of the quantum of work on average for these large scale problems. But it knows exactly what it doesn't do, which is really the power. And it sort of hands off that batch of work to the human developers to finish things out. So we get a really clean, full pull request plus human labor at the end to accelerate the development, but not sort of remove the need for the developers altogether.